What's up, guys? I'm back. I'm really enjoying YouTube. It's been very interesting to be able to give my thoughts, my opinions directly to you. And I've got a couple things that I want to discuss today. But there was one that was kind of pressing because I don't quite understand. So, opposed to just telling you what I think, I'm really kind of looking for your input. I'm looking for a conversation because I've got to understand what's going on in this situation. Because for me, it seems as though Jake Paul wants to be considered a real fighter, right? He does the right things, trains hard. When he's in the ring, he seems to be able to box. And I've gone on record as saying so much. Like, the kid can actually fight. They're very athletic kids. Him and his brother. His brother did a tremendous job just recently in the WWE at WrestleMania. And honestly, if he chose to, he could be a full-time performer. That's how talented the kid is. Obviously, he went 7 or 8 rounds with Floyd Mayweather. But when it comes to Jake seems to want to be a fighter, a boxer. So much so that he has taken the lead in terms of approaching Dana with fair fighter pay and everything else. And you don't know what the intention is with that or his fight career. It's odd because whereas he does so many things the right way, he does certain things that just kind of leaves you scratching your head. And the one that I'm talking about is the whole Michael Bisbing situation. Now, for me, seeing Michael Bisbing get that type of fight, because Mike's my friend, he'll make a lot of money. Sure, I'd be happy. And honestly, Michael Bisbing in his prime, I think beats Jake Paul in a boxing match, hands down. But when you are calling out a guy, and Mike even says as such, I'm 43 years old, I have no knees, because Mike, over the course of his long career, has had to have surgery on his knees. Obviously, his eyes are very well documented. The issues that he's had with his eyes are well documented. So him being licensed to fight is not even a guarantee. But when Mike says you want to call out a 43-year-old with no knees who can't see, then send the contract, what is this? Like what is the point? Now, I get it. Some are going to say it's simple, DC. He wants easy fights. Well, Michael Bisbing, even with one eye, is not an easy fight. Don't think for a second that Jake Paul is going to go through Michael Bisbing in the way that he did Tyron Woodley. Tyron Woodley was a wrestler. Ben Askren is a wrestler. Michael Bisbing is a boxer and a fighter. So with all the injuries that he's had, Bisbing will still go out there and fight as hard as anyone you've ever seen. He's always in fantastic shape. He fights as hard from minute 1 to minute 25 or 15. Regardless, he's as tough as they come. Michael Bisbing is a man's man. So it would be a tougher fight for Jake Paul, but still, what's the desired result? Because does it get you closer to being legitimized? Not because Mike's not a good fighter, because the Michael Bisbing today is 43 years old. Knee operations. His eyes messed up. So what's the desired result for Jake Paul? Called me out. I'm 43 years old, like I say all the time. I'm overcooked. I don't train. I don't know if I could fight and box. I don't know. It will take a year for anyone, like for me to get ready to fight someone like that. Then it will just make you older. So what's the point in calling out a 43-year-old Michael Bisbing, who's retired for 4 years now? Mike hasn't fought since he lost to Kelvin Gastelum. I don't get it. Jake Paul's a good fighter because what we have seen on paper, he's done well. Has it been the right opponents for what he's trying to do? Yeah, but guess what? In boxing, people talk about how Jake picks his opponents and how he's fighting guys that aren't as good as they once were, or they can't really challenge him. Guess what, geniuses? That is how boxing works. I don't know, the kid's 4-0 maybe? No 4-0 fighter outside of Lomachenko was fighting for world championships. Most 4-0 fighters are fighting the local pro out of the boxing club, just come out as cannon fodder. But Jake Paul's fights are so high profile, so you think to yourself, you got to find amateurs, essentially, that are high profile enough to make it look real. That's what the story is right now with Jake Paul. He's fighting guys that are amateur boxers, because Ben Askren, Tyron Woodley, and the YouTube guy that he fought in the first fight, they're all amateur boxers. They're not professionals. But that's no different than what Floyd Mayweather did from fight 1 to fight 10. Or we can go even further back to Mike Tyson and all the guys that he beat very early. And I'm not putting him on the same line as those guys, but I'm saying that is how boxing works. As a young fighter, you are brought up by winning matches, getting experience inside the fight to prepare yourself for that day where you're fighting the elite of the elite. But this one seems to be going a step further, because now you're fighting older guys. And with Mike, retired guys who, so you want to fight a guy that had hip replacement surgery in Ben Askren. And you want to fight Michael Bisbing, who's been retired for 4 years with all the injuries and the issues that he's had. You want to fight a former champion. You want to fight a guy that is older, so you think that maybe there's no risk. Bisbing is finally one that's his size, right? So Jake Paul's actually going to fight, or wants to fight, someone his size. He called me out. I'm bigger than him. Well, I don't know if that was ever a real thing. But with Bisping, he's actually his size. But it's like, hey, if you want to fight someone that is your size but older, right? You're still a young man in your physical prime. You want an older guy to fight? Hey, there's a former UFC champion that is doing exactly what you're doing. His name's Anderson Silva. That's who you should be fighting, Jake. That's who you should be calling out, because guess what? He still fits the mold. He's a former UFC champ. He's an amateur boxer because he's only fought, 5 boxing fights. He's just like you. He's your size. And he's up there in age. So it still fits the mold. You should be calling out Anderson, not Michael Bisping. That's the fight. That's the fight, because not only does that fight fit the mold of what you're doing, that fight actually gives us some idea of what this thing is that you're trying to do or portray. Look, if Jake Paul comes out and says, listen, I'm doing this for fun. I just want fun fights where I can get all my friends and fill out arenas and I go fight guys that aren't very good. These are all attractions. Okay, we'll deal with the attraction. But he ain't training like these are attractions. Jake Paul's training like a professional fighter. And he's training like a professional fighter that at a very young part of his career is exposed to much more than young fighters at that point in their careers are exposed to, because he's got money, he's got fame, he's got popularity. So he's not getting trained by the guy at the YMCA or just some random local boxing coach. He's got fantastic trainers. He got training camp built around him, all because of the things that he did prior to starting this new career. But if this is a new career, if Jake Paul wants this to be viewed as a career, then he's got to fight someone that matters, that means something. Not just attractions. Look, Michael Bisbing, as I said, will fight his ass. Bisbing will fight his ass. And he's going to have to get in there in some moments and be like, holy shit, this dude's still coming. Because Michael Bisbing is a dog. And he ain't going to give up to nobody. So with one eye, no knees, Bisbing will still be tougher than anybody he's been in there with before. Because Bisbing's a dog. And Bisbing going to roll over for anybody. You better bring your lunch pail when you fight Michael Bisping. But if you really want to show the world, if you really want to prove that this is a second career for Jake Paul, that you want to be considered legitimate, you got the Showtime deal, you're a fighter, fight Anderson Silva. That's fun. Because Anderson Silva is still an amateur boxer, but he's still training. He's still fit. He's dealt with injuries. Obviously, when you are a UFC champion for as long as he's been, and at the top of the game, you got injuries. He's older. Anderson's older than all of us. But Anderson is still fighting. And Anderson Silva presents a chance for you to truly prove yourself. So let go of the Bisbing thing. I get it. If you're going to fight Mike, I'm tuning in. Hell, I might even go to watch my friend cash in and watch you get pushed to a place that I never thought that that you have not been pushed to yet. Maybe in sparring. But in a fight, nobody's pushed you like Bisbing will push Jake Paul. But if Jake Paul wants to be considered real, and Jake Paul wants to be an actual fighter, got to fight somebody that is more in the game. And that person to me is Anderson Silva. Guys, in the comments, please let me know your thoughts on this, because I'm confused, because I don't know if this is a publicity stunt, just a money grab. I don't know if this is all for fun. I don't know. I don't know. But I think one guy has the answer, and that's Anderson the Spider Silva. Is Jake Paul willing to ask the question for Anderson to give him the answer? Let's find out. Like, subscribe, and down below, guys, give me your thoughts on this, because I need help with this one. I'm a know-it-all. I am a know-it-all like you wouldn't believe. But this one's got me a bit confused, because every time I watch the kid fight, I'm like, wow, kid's actually pretty good. Dude can fight. He's got some big power. But then the next call-out always seems to not really give me the direction that this guy wants to be a true fighter. So, comments, let me know. Let me know what you think. Let's have a conversation, guys, and maybe I'll answer some of those in my next video. Like, subscribe, and let's keep building. Until next time, peace.